Hello and welcome to the show today. I have a very special guest today from Option Wolf. Mitchell from Option Wolf has agreed to join us today, and I'm really excited to have him here. Welcome to the show, Mitchell.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Sweet. I know this is like a few months in the making. We were on deck in, I guess it looked like March, and such is life. Things get moved around, but I'm excited to finally have you on here. I found you on YouTube, and I was impressed with your sort of common sense videos. I know you only put like a couple of them up so far, but there's so much garbage on YouTube, and the points you were making were all right, which from a cocky market maker as myself is rare on YouTube.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's a lot of terrible content out there, and I try to explain things like you said in a common sense way. And I found that the people that I do or have explained it to in the past before we started those YouTube videos really had never heard the way I explained things before and really appreciated it. And I figured I'd just, especially with the launch of Option Wolf, we could get those, just get them on YouTube because when we initially launched, I saw similar services to ours, and I'm, just seeing garbage content, frankly, on a lot of them, not all of them, but quite a few. And I'm just saying, like, wow, like these people are actually listening to these guys that are, gurus who haven't even ever been in the business professionally a lot of times. So people really need to be careful if they're, you know, who they follow as far as trading goes, especially when you have money on the line. So, um, yeah, everybody should check those videos out if they haven't already.
Yeah, when I first saw you, I saw you with the beautiful background and everything, and I was like, oh no, it's another one of those guys who trades 10 minutes a day, and then it's all a bunch of fluff. But when I dug into your website a little bit, and there's some great trade setups, a whole bunch of them. So where are you exactly? It is a
Yeah.
beautiful background. Is that a green screen behind you, or is that real?
No, it's real. I'm in Mexico. I've been here actually for about a year, and I've just found it, when you have the view and everything, especially when you're in a business such as trading that can get really stressful. Um, you have to be at peace with your environment to succeed. A lot of people don't know that, but it's a lot easier to trade in a place where you feel comfortable than, as opposed to sitting in an office with 100 people yelling across the floor.
That makes sense, totally. So, how did you get to this spot where you are now? I think I was looking on LinkedIn, and it said you were at, was it E Trade you were at? You were at one of the big ones, right? Before.
Yeah, yeah, and I worked my way up there fairly quickly. I got Series 7 license, 63, and eventually a 3, which is a futures license for viewers that don't know. But yeah, I mean, I just learned as much as I could. That was my main goal as a broker, was learning as much as I possibly could in the shortest amount of time. And I really, when I was first starting to really learn about trading, it's funny because a lot of the trading strategies that I employ myself, I was saying, yeah, there's no way I would ever do that. I'm just going to stick to long calls and long puts. Why get into, spreads? And, I didn't even know what a condor or butterfly, or I certainly wasn't going to, sell any naked puts or naked calls, but I do all the time now. And, um, yeah, I mean, that's how I got started, and I decided to make my kind of niche, I guess, so to speak. Uh, I wanted to become an options expert, and that's what I did. So, um, we toward the tail end of my tenure there, they were getting rid of the derivatives team. I was kind of upset to hear about that, but um, or I guess not getting rid of them, but integrating them with uh, another department, and um, and that's kind of at the same time I was discovering all these services I mentioned earlier, and we have 10,000 subscribers, and I'm like, you got 10,000 people listening to these guys? They're not even good traders. Like, I can do this better than they can. So, yeah, that's really when I ramped it up to go ahead and start. But yeah, like I said, I mean, I've held professional licenses and all that stuff, and worked in the environment, and yeah, it's a high stress job a lot of times, most of the time, but sometimes you just have those slow days in the market, not a lot going on, but those are few and far between.
Did you and this is kind of a shot in the dark, but did you come across a guy named Paul O'Donnell at E-Trade at all? I think he works for them in the options business. I'm not sure. You familiar with that name, Paul O'Donnell?
Yeah, I know the name. I don't know if I've ever personally met him, but I do know the name. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, at least I've confirmed that he works there. That's good. I'm good friends with his brother, and he was on the floor with me and
Yeah.
stuff. Cool.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
how?
If I have met you, Paul, and you're watching this, sorry.
He's probably not. But
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
how did you get hooked up with your partner, Arez? Um, was he working with you at E Trade
Well, we
also?
just met. No, he never worked there, but he actually lived like right down the street from me when I was in Atlanta, and we started talking about. I just met him. We started talking about. At the time, he was actually, and we do have something similar in development. He was working on a app that would basically like um, give you a. He was working on an indicator, so it would give you a like buy, sell, hold signal based on the parameters he was setting, and I at the time too was starting to experiment with writing uh, code for algorithmic trading, like a couple codes I had going on.
Oh wow.
Nothing I ever implemented. I just kind of wanted to learn about it a little bit. So I was experimenting with that and mentioned it to him, and he got really excited about it. And like Jerez is really passionate about the tech stuff, which is why we're actually working on perfecting that indicator, and we'll be implementing it on the site soon. So that'll be a good thing. But yeah, that's kind of how we got started. And then I mentioned to him, these sites that I kept seeing. I had never heard of them before, and um, and he's like, "Man, let's get started on this." Like we'll just go in 50-50, and like I've already got this one going, and this and that, and at the time as a broker, you can't do anything outside of business. So we kind of nixed it for a while, and then after I was gone, we had always been talking as friends, but sometimes we'd go like a month here without talking, whatever. And after I was gone, I called him up, and he had been working on a site like that, and he told me, I can't do this site without you, and I'm like, okay. So we went in, and it changed a lot. It looks a lot different than how it started, but yeah, I mean, it took a while. It was a long process. It took a lot longer than I thought it would. And, when you see these garbage sites up, I could name names, but I'm not going to. You can do your own research on that. But, you can tell that it's some dude that's never been in the business slapped up. He's got lies all over the place. He doesn't post his trades like we do. We post all of our results. I'll show you here later if I can screen share. I mean, we post all of our entries, all of our exits every month. We post a list of all the trades we have. We post every trade we do live on our Slack channel, and then we post the end result in a dollar amount, percentage gain for each trade, all that stuff. So, as opposed to all these people that will just toss random trades out and say, "Oh yeah, make sure you watch it and exit it if you're up." they never tell people, because exiting a trade is just as important as entering a trade, if not more important in a lot of cases. So they'll tell people that, and just manage it accordingly, and they they don't post their actual results. Some of the more professional sites do. I don't know if they get into as much detail as we do, but most of them don't. So that's something a lot of people should look out for.
Yeah, I totally agree. There's so many people out there that advertise these unrealistic returns of like, yeah, we've got 10 guys and we each make 200% per week and all this stuff, and it just, it raises people's expectations to the point that's just unattainable. I really like the idea that you have a Slack community as well, because it can get lonely when you're sitting in front of a computer screen at home, and having people you can talk to and just bounce stuff off of is a great thing. I think, and
Oh yeah, the community is really important.
yeah, I saw this. I'm not going to name a name either, but on StockTwits, there's a couple of quote unquote communities that are heavily marketed. That basically that's what it is. It's just a Discord channel, and they'll post like stuff after the fact. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, yesterday I bought this and now it's up," and and then they
Yeah,
want $100 a month per person or something, and it's like it's either that or it's a bunch of penny stocks, and it just leads
yeah.
it leads newcomers off a cliff, which is something that I'm totally against.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, because the last kind of charlatan trading guru I ran into, um, they sent me a message with a Discord link. I'm not familiar with that site. I don't really know how it works. I mean, I'm sure I could figure it out. I don't really care to, but um, it was something like that, where it's like, and the site's like, oh yeah, by multi-millionaires and lifetime market analysts or something like that, but from probably like two guys, never worked in a business, probably 20 years old, 21, whatever. And they I'm not saying like you have to be an old guy to be an expert, but I could just tell like right off the rip that these guys were full of it. So I joined it, and um, needless to say, I got booted pretty quickly, because I mean, really almost immediately, because I was actually showing them real things, and frankly, I think they kind of felt dumb, or felt like their viewers, which I feel really bad for if they're actually paying for this garbage. But it's yeah, they post stuff like that. They'd say like, oh yeah, we bought these calls yesterday, and just, oh, now they're sitting right here, and you go try to find the trade, you can't find it because it's buried so deep. And it'd be a lot easier if they could just post their results like we do, or show us an account statement, or even show me one trade confirmation, and I'll believe you. But they it's they just saw somebody that knew more than them, and were afraid that their subscribers, that frankly they're throwing under the bus, they'd lose some of them, so they booted me out, which I thought was pretty amusing. But yeah, they probably know who they are if they see this, because I think they might have a little crush on me or something.
So, I wanna ask you more specifics on about your website in just a second, but let me ask you just generally your view
Sure.
on things as far as like the macro scene right now with the market. Do you think that we're gonna continue to just sort of slowly rally, or do you think do you buy into this idea that maybe like we're late in the cycle of a bull market, and it's inevitable that we're gonna like go way lower pretty soon?
I
Well,
don't
what?
I don't like to speculate on that too much, because you got a lot of guys that are just lifetime bulls, a lot of guys that are bears that'll say 100 times the market's going to crash, and then the one time they're actually right, they shout it from the mountaintops. But um, one thing I found interesting about this market environment is that it seems like a lot of the same news, recycled news, worded differently, is affecting will affect a stock or an index multiple times. So like you'll see a news article run for something and it'll, let's say it affects this stock negatively, and then the same article will run the next day worded differently. It'll affect it negatively. Like nothing else came out. The rest of the, like if it's a tech stock, the rest of the tech sector might be up, and everything's case by case. But uh, especially when you're reading these CNBC headlines, which also kind of are ridiculous sometimes because they just come up with excuses as to why the market's down or why the market's up. But I do think a lot of it right now is hinging on this China deal. So, if the U.S. can strike a favorable deal with China, then I think we'll see the the bull market that we've seen continue, or at least get back to like its previous highs. But I don't think we're necessarily going to see a collapse if there isn't a deal, because there wasn't before. I mean, we might see some retracements here and there, but I don't think we're on the verge of economic doom just because the market's up. And this is coming from, I mean, I'm a natural cynic. Like, I would love to say that, yeah, I think the market's going to crash and I'm prepared for it, but I just don't think that right now. I did for years, but I don't think that right now.
Interesting. What's your take on the cryptos? Are you think it's worth jumping into at all, or is it over? Is it just beginning? What do you think about Bitcoin and all that?
um, I'm not an expert on it. I know how it works, and I wrote my own um, I wrote my own token, like an Ethereum token. It took me a few hours, but uh, I think in the long term, I've seen some pretty good arguments for it actually replacing fiat currency, and it could be the large. If it does that, it would be obviously the largest wealth transfer in the history of mankind. I mean, yeah, it's like the shift from gold to fiat, and then you got something going from fiat to all crypto. There's definitely a case for it to be made. I would, I wouldn't put all your eggs in that basket, but I think it's something everybody should have as a part of their portfolio, because I mean, if that did happen, it'd be huge. And if you're left on the sidelines, then that's just it. Like, sorry.
I feel that I can totally buy into decentralized, like the whole concept of crypto, like decentralizing money and taking the power away from the big banks and all that sort of thing. But just the intrinsic value of how much one unit of cryptocurrency should be worth, to me it's very hard to value it. And so it's like, yeah, crypto will be around, but I'm not sure which one will be the one that's actually adopted the most. And I'm very uh, cynical about like Bitcoin going to 100,000 or something like that, because it doesn't have any intrinsic value to me. I understand it as a concept of like being like replacing a checkbook or replacing a credit card, but as far as the actual like why Bitcoin should be worth more than Ethereum or relative value, and also like as something to buy and hold, I've never really bought into it. It's just something. It's close to trading, which I know about, but it's very far away from my understanding personally. It's hard.
Well, it's important to look at what the purpose of the token actually is, and some of them don't even serve a purpose. But um, you got the big boys like Bitcoin and Ethereum and Litecoin and stuff like that. They're more generalized, and then there's tokens that are more, service more specific purpose. So it's like investing in a company. Like, you have to, when you look at a company, your first question is like, what do they do? So you got to look at what this token does. What purpose does it serve, and do you see that a demand for that purpose in the future? Um, and so, like I said, some of them there was a. I mean, I think we're past the point of all the crypto like pump and dumps of these like tokens that don't even do anything. That was more of like 2015 to 2017 ish, maybe a little before, but I think we're past that. So that's a good sign for the community, I suppose.
It's interesting. You said you were working on or that you were working on a token yourself. Which computer languages do you do that in? I know zero about it. It's interesting. It's amazing to me that you learned how to do
Well,
that.
well, there's actually I did it through a website called Token Wizard, and I was gonna initially I was gonna write it myself, but and it was this for something like another project I have going on, but I was gonna write it myself, and then I found that you can um, they're called like EC40 tokens. You can the website's called Token Wizard, so you can get on there and name it and all this stuff, and how many units is it going to have, what's the value of it, and you can actually get it listed through as like an actual coin, which mine is listed. It's not. I haven't finalized. The only thing I haven't done is click that finalize button. Um, so it's not like tradable or anything. I haven't tried to list it on an exchange. I could, but I'm gonna sit on it and wait and see if I can use it for this other thing we got going on.
So, all right. So, how would somebody go about, like, let's say, well, let's go first. What levels of sort of membership do you have, and how much do they cost for Option Wolf?
I'm gonna go ahead and screen share that just to get a visual here. Let's see.
Okay. And you're primarily focused on equities, correct? Like options on stocks.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we'll toss in some futures trades every now and then. Can you see my screen?
I can.
Should be the okay, so these are our levels, and we actually just changed the pricing on this, so it's actually a lot cheaper than it used to be. But it'll tell you if you go to this optionwolf.com, you can just click the there's a join now button up here, or you can type in membership hyphen join. But we've got our basic membership that gives you access to the Slack community. It's not going to give you access to our trades, and then you can get access to educational material. So if you're new to options, you get options 101 stuff, and just really kind of basic stuff. But it gives you access to that community, and Arez and I aren't going to ignore you if you are asking a question on there. But then you upgrade to premium, and that one's a little more expensive, not much, and you get we've got some other videos that are we consider a little more top tier, and then you get our membership access there. So you get access to all of our trades, stuff like that. And obviously, everything basic gets, but the main thing is you get access to trades at that point. Um, with our elite membership, the highest one here, um, so you get our everything in premium, and then will actually Erez and I will actually give you this is something we need to change because right now everybody's got access to live webinars, but we plan on making that a premium feature. Also, elite members are going to get access to that tool I mentioned earlier first, and anything else we come out with in the future. And then you actually get direct access to Erez and myself, meaning like we'll even give you our phone number, and you can call us up or text us or whatever you need to do, as long as you're not calling us all the time. I mean, we're happy to help. We're happy to help premium premium members as well, but we're just going to put some priority with the elite membership there. So
So how does it work as far as? Hold on, I gotta switch back. I've got you in full screen mode. There we go. How does it work with trades coming out, or like new trade ideas coming out? Do they get posted in sort of real time, or does it happen once a week, or how does that work? Or does it happen every day? And around how
yeah,
many trade ideas do you come out with, like, per week or month or whatever?
so so just to actually, I'll go ahead and pull up this tab. It's perfect. I actually need to go in and update some of this stuff, but you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so this is on our open trades tab, so our members can go on, click on that, and see what we got open, all that stuff. But to put it in perspective, for like let's say April, we did probably in April. Let's see, 73 trades in April. We put these are all posted in our Slack membership page. So as soon as we get the trade in, or as we're placing the trade, we'll post the trade. So as long as you're following along with all these, I mean, you're making money. In April, we didn't make as much as we did in March, and I think in March we did like twice as many trades. It was like 130 something, but um, yeah, I mean, we trade a fair amount, and there might be a day here and there where we just don't have much going on, and then a day where we're tossing in 20 trades. But um, yeah, I mean, it stacks up. So, if you're following along with all this stuff, then like that's how much we made in March, 70,000. And this is not counting commission. We don't include that here because I don't
Mhm.
know, you might have a different broker or whatever, but 70,683 there. February, same thing. Uh, we're putting out a lot more than we used to. We're, yeah, well, I say we'll do like, we might, on a heavy day, we might do 10, 15, and on a slow day, we might only do one. So it just depends. So, we'll do day trades, we'll do like swing trades, we'll do a res is a little more long term. I do my stuff week to week with a day trade peppered in here and there.
So it'll be like, so you follow along on Slack, and then you'll post the trade in Slack, like opening a trade, and then when you close it, you'll post also in Slack, like, oh, we closed that one right now at this price or whatnot. Is that the way it works?
Yeah, so
Cool.
and if you're like a member, you turn on your alerts in Slack, and then uh, you turn on your alerts, you'll get the alert as soon as the trade's placed. You can get on like your computer, your phone, whatever you're using to trade, and post you know, toss in the same trade, toss in a similar one, uh, and yeah, I mean, and then we'll tell you when to close it, unlike everybody else out there. So.
So yeah, I mean, folks, the thing I would use this for as a pro, just talking to my audience for a sec here, is that this gives you some great trading ideas, and you can see that they have a successful record, and you don't have to put on every one of their trades yourself, but one of these successful trades is going to cover your membership for a year. I mean, that's just the math if you do it there. And so I would get a service like this. It's what, $600 a year for the premium membership, and if you pick out 2-3 good trades a month from this, it's going to add a lot to your bottom line. It's only $600 a year, so it seems like a good deal to me. I mean, that's the way I see it. Does that make sense to you, Mitchell? I mean, it just seems.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've always when I first started discovering these websites, and I've subscribed to a couple of them myself just to see what they're all about, and I'm like, well, why not? It pays for itself after one trade, so why wouldn't I? And I get access to all these great ideas. Like, yeah, there's going to be some that don't work out, uh, but they're, as long as they have a good track record established like we do, like, and I follow along with all of them or most of them, or the ones that make sense to me, then it's obviously pays for itself 100 times over. So
And the other, like, really added benefit thing, which I've found, is that you go on to, like, the Slack page, for example, and you're going to meet people there, and they're going to have ideas too. And obviously, you're not endorsing their ideas, but it's going to a lot of what trading is it's getting you in this mindset, and getting the ideas flowing, because in the end your trades are going to come from yourself. You're not going to be just following everything Mitchell does, but this is going to give you a starting point at least. So he might be like, I'm buying the 50 calls. You might say, well, I'm going to buy the 45s, or you might adjust it a little bit, but it gives you a good starting
yeah.
point, I think. for people. I want to
Yeah,
ask.
and
Go
I
ahead.
I tell people too. Like we have people that come up with their own ideas all the time, and I tell people too, if even if you like can't afford the margin requirement on like a naked option that we sell, like you can always turn it into a spread, and I'm there if you have any questions. So turn
Yeah.
it into a spread and reduce the margin requirement because we're confident in our levels that we choose.
What What do you recommend to people? Because um, I've had the experience where people were watching me make trades online, and they've put all of their eggs into one basket. As far as like, they're like, "Oh, I love that trade," and they put all their savings and everything into one thing. And I try to always emphasize to people that there is a separation, at least for me personally, between my long-term savings and the money that I'm using to trade with, and it's a different percentage depending on the person. But what do you recommend for people for like long-term money that they're sort of like life savings that they're slowly building up? What should they do with that sort of money?
Well, I mean, it all depends on how much they have. I certainly wouldn't toss it into like a swing trade or something, or go buy a bunch of calls or buy a bunch of puts. But we have strategies for people like that too. Like if you just want to if you're looking for some passive income, don't mind taking a little bit of risk, and why not sell some puts or something, or just play if you have X amount, put don't put more than say 2% into one trade or something like that. Just never. Bottom line is just never risk what you're not willing to lose. But for the people out there with money and savings, like do something with it. Give me a call. I'll help you out with it. Like, or at least give you a little bit of guidance there on something to do. So
Um, yeah. So, are you in Mexico long term? Is this your home for the foreseeable future, or are you? Because it sounds like you're
I mean,
You're American, right? Yeah.
I've been,
Like you started in
yeah,
America, right?
I've been, I've been, oh yeah, I've been south of the border for about a year now,
Okay.
and I've got I've been coming back to the U.S. a couple times to visit. I don't really have any inclination to live there anytime soon, but I've got some trips coming up, some big trips. So, and I'm sure people find out about them, but um, yeah, I've got some big trips coming up with doing some exciting things, and I'm sure people will see we'll post a video with where we are, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff coming up soon. So, but I'll probably end up back here. It's kind of become a home to me. I've never, I've kind of been a little nomadic, but this I'm kind of starting to settle down somewhat.
Um, are you gonna keep making those sort of like common sense videos you were making like 8 months ago? Because I see it's kind of switched to like live streaming on YouTube now. I'd vote definitely to have more of those videos as well, the sort of common sense ones, because I think those are. I was watching the one where you were talking about not putting market orders in for spread trades, and those things which to you or I might seem basic. People people have such a fractured education on options online because it's very hard to get a good education on options online, and those little tidbits are something that's I think it saves people a lot of money, certainly.
Yeah, yeah. I've actually plan on doing some collaborations with the Res here, just in like a couple weeks, whenever I get to where he is. But yeah, I agree. I should be posting a little more of those. But one thing I need to do, I'm only chock full of so many ideas. I need to get some feedback from some people, and if somebody wants to see a video on something, let me know. I'll post one. So. Um, if anybody has any suggestions, drop me a line, email me, or post it in the comments of YouTube or whatever on any video. I mean, we look at the comments, so uh, yeah, let us know. Or if you're in our Slack channel already and you would like to see something, let me know, and I'll try to make it happen.
How big is your community right now, and where do you see it being in like a year from now? Is it like super active? Is it not much going on, or is how many people are usually online or are signed up and right now?
Well, well, we've got like, I don't know, I want to say like 150 people on there. A lot of people just will don't engage; they just kind of observe, um, and and a lot of people, I guess they might feel embarrassed to ask a question in front of everybody, so they'll just ask me personally or Rez personally. I don't think anybody in our community should feel embarrassed to ask questions, because that's what we're there for. We want to answer those questions, and some people are just more naturally inclined to engage daily. So I guess it just depends on whose personality it is. But to your point of where we see it going in a year, we like to see it grow as big as possible. I mean, I'd like to see 1,000 people on there by the end of the year. So we're going to try to make that happen. But if it doesn't, then it's not a big deal. Or if we have 10,000, great. But we want people to see the value in what we provide and appreciate it. So
Nice. And the other thing I wanted to ask you, do you actively trade for like your own account nowadays? Is that a big part of your life? You're having your own positions, or are you mostly focused on your business right now?
yeah, no, I absolutely trade all the time. I mean, almost every day. I haven't this week just because I got some other stuff I'm working on that I want to focus on, because you put trades in, you're kind of tied to it and stuck to your computer sometimes, just watching it. But yeah, I mean, it is a big part of my life. I think it should be, considering what I do. But um, and I kind of have to focus on that uh, to grow my business anyway. So, and it's something I like doing. I like keeping up with stuff. I mean, it forces you to, sometimes you want to tune out, but it forces you to stay up to date with the news and everything like that. So I appreciate that as well.
What about politics? I know people try to shy away from this a lot, but I always ask people when I'm interviewing people: are you someone who's heavily focused on politics? Because I know there's a certain section of the population that's entirely focused on politics, which has been a very polarizing thing lately. But is that a big thing for you? And the second part of it is, do you believe that like the political situation in the U.S. is very important to like the markets right now? As far as like, for example,
Yeah, I
like,
mean, everybody.
go ahead.
I was gonna say, I mean, everybody's got their own opinions, and yeah, it's definitely polarizing right now. I just try to use that. Uh, as a trader, you just have to adapt and overcome to whatever the situation is. So I try to use that to my advantage in a lot of cases. Um, so basically, I mean, you have to look at the political situation going on. Yeah, I think it's important, and I don't like the fact that it's polarized as it is right now. But and I think, frankly, people waste way too much time on that, as when they should be focused on their own lives. Or not to say that certain policies aren't affecting them personally, but uh, figure out a way, instead of complaining about it, figure out a way to take advantage of it regardless of what the situation is. So I mean, yeah, I mean, that's my 2 cents on it. I just like I said, as a trader, just try to adapt and overcome to whatever the political environment is. Just like today, we had Theresa May, the Prime Minister of the UK, resign. Uh, Instead of getting online and spouting her opinion on whether she should have or shouldn't have done that, or whether she did a good job as Prime Minister, figure out a way to make some money off it or take advantage of it somehow. So who, anybody that gets in the office, it's likely not going to affect you personally. So the only thing that's going to affect you personally is yourself and the way you react to your environment. So that's all I would have to say on to anybody, uh, that's super political or focused on politics. It's just, you can be focused on politics. Politics is an important thing, but don't let it run your life or ruin your life. And at the very best, try to take advantage of whatever situation it is. Because anytime something happens around the world, um, especially as connected as we are now, I mean, there's trillions of dollars trading hands every day. Figure out where the stream's going and step in between it.
Sounds like good advice to me. I wanted to ask you about Wealth Pipe for a second. Talk to me a little bit about
Yeah,
that. That are you originally from Atlanta? I
yeah.
see that. I see that. I see
Uh,
that there. Yeah, I see that on here, and I know little about it. Is that something else you're focused on right now?
uh, not as much as I was. I'm actually working on something very similar right now, but it's that's something, you want to get into politics. That's something that's going to be more in the political realm coming up. I don't know how much I can talk about it right now, but um, with Wealth Pipe, it's taking this financial news. You have, like, especially with Twitter out. Elon Musk had gotten gotten in trouble with the SEC for tweeting out stuff, and if you have somebody that has access to that information and they're preemptively shooting a tweet out about it, you don't know, they haven't filed anything, so you don't know if it's true or not. So basically, I mean, it's a way for people to rate news based on their credibility, their reliability.
Hmm.
Um, and the cool thing about it, though, is that it's, we're way ahead of everybody else. I guess I can talk about it. It's going to be coming out soon, and we're working on an extension for it right now, but it's called a Fact Pipe. And it's more generalized than Wealth Pipe. Wealth Pipe's, just financial news. Fact Pipe is news in general. And so, for example, if you can have like a basic, advanced, and like an expert profile. And so if you're a verified expert, if like I get on there and say I'm a finance expert and here's why, and we verify you, a finance article comes out, I rate that reliability score on a scale from 1 to 10, and I get rewarded based on my accuracy there. But I'm going to carry more weight than Joe Schmo that doesn't know anything about finance that decides to vote on it. He's still going to make that ticker swing, but I think that's a really important thing in today's environment. There's a couple companies trying to do it, but we're way out in front of them. And honestly, their products are jokes. But it's going to be, it's a way to prevent like all this stuff we have going on, um, all this arguing about political stuff, whether or not this or that is true. It's going to be a way eventually, hopefully, for everybody to have a consensus on there and say, yeah, this is true, this isn't true, this is somewhat true, stuff like that. Or these verified experts said it's false, and here's why. Um, so that's what we hope to get going in the pretty near future, and say within the next hopefully 6 months. So it's look out for something like that, because if it blows up, this is where you heard it first. But yeah, it's going to be, I think it'll change the political landscape, and it'll definitely change the news media landscape. So for everybody out there on both sides of the aisle to like to peddle fake news, that's about to come to an end.
And the bots world. Yeah. So
Yeah.
the other question I always ask people, just real quick, is I'm sure people ask you this, knowing the industry you're in. What what would I do? If I have $1,000 to invest? What should I do? Should I buy one, half a share of Amazon, or should I, sell a put spread? If someone just had $1,000, what would you recommend for them to do with it?
Yeah, I'd say that's one of the top three questions I always get is, what do you think about this stock? I've got $1,500, $1,000. What should I do with it? Um, and I don't know. I mean, it depends on your. I'd say it depends first on your uh, ability to regain that $1,000. Are you gonna be able to have another $1,000 in a week, or is it gonna take you a year to save that up again? Um, but or how quickly do you want to make money? Do you just want to like put it in something safe? Do you want to just toss it all on the line and try to double it in a day? So, I mean, me personally, I have a higher risk tolerance than most people. I kind of have to, but I mean, I do a lot of research, and we can. I mean, we've been asked that question before and toss people into stuff like, yeah, you dump it. Don't go looking for a trade, but do your research first. And when you see an opportunity, I would say go with options, because that's going to be the easiest way to make that turn into 2,000, make that 2,000 turn into 4,000, and so forth. But yeah, I would say turn to options, but do the right thing first, and don't be afraid to jump out of a trade too early. You can stay in a trade, but just don't get don't get too greedy. I mean, I've been there before, um, but yeah, I mean, if you put $1,000 into a call or a put option and you're up $200, it's perfectly okay. And then you see it go up another 800 after that. I mean, you just made 20%. So just move on to the next one. When you close a trade, don't continue to watch it. Just take it off your watch list and move on to the next one. Don't even look at it
Yeah,
again.
that's great advice. I do that myself. I just take it off. Don't want to see it anymore because I know it's going to
Yeah.
go the other way as soon as I look at it.
Yep.
It's like
Yep.
gone. Bye.
Yeah, and it's all just self reassurance at that point. Like, you just want to make sure you were right, or I want to make sure I got out at the top, or something like that. But yeah, no, just take it off. Don't even look at it. There's no point. You got to put your mind elsewhere.
Yeah, that makes total sense to me. So let's say somebody has your service. They're a premium or elite member. What other resources online would you recommend for people to turn to the most? Is there somewhere that you go to all the time? Like, for example, for whatever reason, I go to Drudge Report all the time to find the news, and I'll go to barchart.com to look at sort of scanners. Are there any like sort of real go-to websites that you use on a daily basis that you could recommend to people besides your own content?
I mean, I've been to bar charts before. I don't say I get on it all the time. I usually try to, like, I use I mean, it's not a website, but I use my trading platform like 24/7 basically. So I use Thinkorswim, and just customize the hell out of it. And so I use that all the time for news. I mean, I look at everything. I look at I get CNBC alerts just like everybody else. But I think it's important too to whether you agree with it or not, or whether you're on the left or the right or whatever, to take a look at the other side too, because you can find nuggets of what's going on that the other side might not even tell you. So if you're a guy that watches CNN all the time, go check out like Breitbart, or like you said, Drudge Report or something. Like, there might be something going on where you had no idea. And and I also like to read people's comments in those to really get a sense of like how people feel about a certain issue, or whatever it is. And same thing if you just watch Fox News all the time. I mean, you're not going to get exposure to the other side, so check that out too. But yeah, I like checking out those news sites that aren't mainstream media sites, because I feel like in this day and age, those mainstream medias, uh, sites or channels, whatever, however you intake the information, I mean, they're just really there to sway your opinion on something. It's not there to actually inform you, whereas the smaller sites are. So I like going to the smaller sites myself, but I do get, I do, watch the news and get alerts, and I mostly just read the news online. But yeah, I like the smaller ones. So I'm usually, when I'm not looking at the markets, I'm usually reading the news on one of those sites, uh, and yeah,
Nice.
I don't uh, I don't I don't really do any other I don't really get on any other trading websites, really, honestly, that much. I mean, I check them out sometimes, but um, yeah.
Well, it's difficult when when you're creating content. I find the same thing. It's difficult to have time to check out other people's stuff when you're trying to run your own business, and you're generating ideas for people. It's very hard for me. I wish I could subscribe to all these different places, but for me, just putting out content takes up so much of my time. It's the same. I'm sure it's the same sort of thing for you. So, can you give us a clue as to some of your
Yeah,
destinations
it
that
is.
you're going to soon on your trips? I'm intrigued when you say you're going to be
Um,
traveling all over the place. You
well,
don't.
I'm going to the U.S. for like 2.5 weeks, and
Nice.
and then I'm going to the Middle East for a while. I don't I
Nice.
don't think anybody's going to believe me until I get to where I'm going, where I actually am going, um, until I'm there. But uh, but yeah, I'll be in the Middle East for a while, hopefully at least 2 months, and then I don't know. I mean, I've been thinking about going to Grand Cayman for a while. I've been thinking about South Africa.
Wow.
Just I've been to a few places here in Mexico. I haven't been where I am the whole time, most of the time, but not the whole time. And yeah, I mean, but I mean, I'll probably just come back here after I get done, traveling around. I'm also supposed to hit Bulgaria, um, while I'm in the Middle East, just out for a week or so, and then where else? I had at one point, my plans changed like the wind, but I was gonna try to hit every continent this year, and then we had an opportunity somewhere, and then it kept getting pushed back and pushed back, and it just became not feasible. But yeah, I mean, I might be in at the end of the year. I might be in Grand Cayman too once I'm done with everything throughout the year.
Um, I I have this question in my head. I'm kind of circling back, but I was just curious. How does something like WealthPipe make money? Is it from the news sites pay you, or is it you put advertisements on it, or how does the business model work for something like that? Just in like broad terms.
You can do ad revenue. You can do ad revenue, but mostly it'll be like, these news sites are we'll let them license it so they can use it on their own websites for fee, an annual fee or something like that. Um, so we want to get everybody on board with it, and there really shouldn't be any excuse for anybody not to, because uh, if everybody wants to stop this fake news, like they say, we're giving them an opportunity to do that. So there's no reason for them not to. If they don't want to do it, then it's only because they want to keep peddling their fake news, and that just in itself proves that they like to lie to people.
Yep.
So yeah, it's when it comes out, we'll license it out to people, um, and they're gonna, they're they're not gonna have an excuse to not use it. So,
All right. Well, listen.
and we're leaps and bounds ahead of everybody else. too. I mean, this is something that's been in the work for like 10 years, 15 years, I think 10 years. So, and it's like multi-layered, anti-bot, anti-spam, all that stuff. And it's not something created by one of these big tech companies that have their own interests at heart. So, yeah, I think it'll be a good thing.
Nice. All right. Well, listen, I know, like I said, the interview here has been a long time coming, and I'm glad we were finally able to get together. I know the scheduling was tough. This time it was more my schedule than yours that was tough this week, but I'm glad we were able to finally connect. And I want you to if you will, come back on in like a year's time and check in with us for a little status report if that's okay with you. But it sounds like you're going
Yeah,
gangbusters.
absolutely. It's been fun.
I don't I don't just have anybody on. I don't just recommend any product. In fact, I'm very particular about which products and people I have on, and I think this is a great it's a great do. I mean, if you're serious about trading, then this is going to generate a ton of ideas for you, and like you said, it's going to pay for itself. So it seems like a no-brainer to me, and it's fascinating to learn more a little bit about you creating it. So thanks so much for coming on, and best of luck to you moving forward.
Yeah.
And I'll check out this wealth pipe thing more. I didn't know anything about it before today, so interesting.
Yeah, fact pipe. Check that one out.
Okay.
But yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Your words, and it's been really fun. I would love to come back on.
Sweet. All right. Well, thanks, folks, for watching, and we will see you next time on the Short Vol Show Live. And best of luck for your trading until then. Thanks. We'll see you soon. All right. I